Is this thing on? I think this thing's on, right? I'm pretty positive this thing's on, or it's working to a certain extent. At least I'm sure, I'm hoping so. Welcome to the circus. Oh, sick, it is on. Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? We're in a whole new world today. This is a YouTube live stream, which is a whole other side note and a whole other side doodad dealio kind of thing. I guess it's popping up. I was trying to get a schedule and stuff going on. Morning, good morning, chat. I hope you're having a pretty gosh darn good day today. It's Saturday morning. Well, it's 11 a.m. So you know more. I guess do we classify morning as under as before noon? Just so long as it's before noon, we call it morning. I would assume that's kind of like the cutoff, right? Is like, that's kind of what I do. So here's the better question. What do you classify as evening? Is it like, because afternoon is obviously afternoon, but do you say like evening is like after dinner then in that case? But like we all eat dinner at different times. Say post 8 p.m. in Germany, 5 p.m., 5 to sunset. See, that's the crazy part because like right here in California, or at least this, you know, America, I suppose, whatever, daylight savings time, all that jazz, it doesn't go, at least here in SoCal, the sun doesn't go down until like 7:30 p.m. But then like if you go up north to like Oregon or Washington, right now the sun doesn't drop until like 9, you know? And so at that point, it's kind of hard to determine what the evening is. Like I'd say 9 is way too late to call it evening. Like I'd say it's way too late to call that evening. It just seems kind of silly to me. But I don't know. It's it all depends. I suppose what the best point in time is. Anyway, chat. Sorry to get all random and now, well, you wouldn't call this philosophical either. It's just a random tangent. Philosophical is like, truly, what is evening? Is evening even a concept? Is time real? And the warp time isn't real. And the warp time is fluid. No one gives a shit about time in the warp. Anyway. Morning chat. I thought I would do an interesting little test attempt thing going on right here. I decided that it might be time to try out a YouTube live streaming kind of doodad. And I thought we would go ahead and chat about the previous Warhammer faction focuses that have gone out throughout the week. I guess this is the first time I've done this, so the last weeks we could also kind of talk about a little bit, but maybe not. And kind of talk about how things have recently have been going lately, how all the various doodads indeed have been coming out. Because excuse me, if we look at I've opened up all these tabs. Oh no, my voice. I'm better now. I opened up all these tabs, literally all the prior stuff that have been coming out in the recent faction focuses, and in order to discuss the various ones that we've seen to this week. I think it's good to kind of reflect on what we've gotten this week, how things have been going, and then moving through from that whole deal. And yeah. Was this Noah Westgar? I mainly watch you to get my news from a semi-comp player. Oh well, thank you. I like calling myself semi-comp. I think it's like a nice in between. It's not full competitive, but I'm not really a casual player either. It feels good to try to find it in between and try to parse the difference between pro players and someone who still gives quite a shit about the fluff that is all the various you hear me talk not just about the faction's rules and stuff, but also about the overwhelming fluff nature of the rules. How well does the fluff interact with the rule sets themselves? Friendly competitive is not a bad niche either. Casually competitive. Well, I mean, for those of you who played Magic the Gathering, I guess the phrase would be, is it John? It's Johnny, right? The guy who wants to win, but wants to win on his own terms. Because it's the three, right? It's Johnny, Spike, and Timmy. if I'm not mistaken. Timmy is Lamau big monsters. I want to play big monsters. Spike is like hardcore competitive, and then Johnny is sort of the in between, I guess. I don't know. Johnny likes to Johnny is a type of player, not how competitive they are. Okay, so it's not about whether or not Johnny wants to play really like win a lot. It's they like to mess around with specifics. Okay. And then Timmy is like, I want to play Imperial Knights. I like big robots. And that's a Timmy. And Spike sells his army the moment they get a nerf. Am I kind of parsing it somewhat decently well? Am I kind of making a somewhat decent combination between the two? I'm Knight Timmy. Okay, more or less is good enough for me. More or less is good enough for me. Anyway, chat, I was gonna do a combination of like a little in between talking about, I don't even need this tab. The various things that have come out. There's also some other ones that have came out. For instance, the Nero Tyrant had a little thing, as well as the Dreadnought, which they already kind of had a little bit of a thing for the Dreadnought, but I guess we could talk about it a bit more. And then naturally, we gotta have Waha PD open the chat a little more. Two genders in a trench coat. I love that name. If it wasn't for your faction breakdowns, I would have no clue what's going on. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. It is confusing because it's Warhammer, so it will naturally be confusing, but I just feel good to try to, this is a Google Doc I made called Lamau. So it's kind of interesting to try to get the nitty gritty going on, that kind of thing. Spike is the one who keeps the eBay economy alive. Yeah, you're probably right. Oh shit. Now this is a good ass question. Bricky, what gobbles do I run for Origins Easter egg? Let me tell you, Landon, if you run gobblegums to get your zombies Easter eggs, you shouldn't have gobblegums. If you need the gobblegum, then you shouldn't have it. Be a real man, woman, non-binary, or binary. We're talking about AdMech today. Be whatever the hell you want, but if you use gobblegums, you're cringe. All right, Perkaholic. Fucking get on your little crutches, your little fucking baby crutches for your baby boy knees and your baby boy joints, because you need your goddamn perkaholic to get an Easter egg done. 4 perks, 5 if you get the double tap coming out of the thing, max. Anyway, that's all I got. So, obviously, oh shit, hey, I think it's the first ever super chat we've ever gotten on this channel, or maybe on my YouTube live ever, because I've never done the YouTube live stream. Everyone clap. All right, Duncan. Ow. Rockroll Dis, thanks for the 5. Heard the last Adric episode and looked up the Fabricator General. Audia Raskian is the size of a building and needs heavy cargo lifters to move. Sounds like I was right then. Sounds like I was right. Hell yeah, thanks for that, by the way. God damn, I didn't realize the Fabricator General. Wait, because I think he's like 7 stories tall or something, isn't he? He's like gigantic. Oh, there's a couple now. Okay, the Mullins. Out of all the factions shown, which do you think is the strongest, the most fun looking, and the sleeper faction? Great question. So out of all the factions shown, okay, so let's see. I'd say the strongest faction that we've seen so far is most definitely the Eldari. I'd argue it's the Eldari, mainly because we don't really know their points. There are 2 gigantic unknowns currently going on in 10th edition. The first one is the simple case of we don't know the points of any of these models, which is why I take particular offense to people angry about 4-up ballistic skill AdMech and Votan, because my guy, there's obviously going to be points changes. Things are going to be adjusted, especially Votan. Especially Votan. Things are going to be adjusted for points. They always are. The thing is that something like the Imperial Knights right now look incredibly good, but we all know Knights are really expensive. You know, we all know Knights are a hyper elite army. That you get like between 4 to 7 models normally on these kinds of things. But I will say that the Eldar look particularly nasty. Not only is Strands of Fate from a functional point of view, I'm gonna back this out a little bit. From a functional point of view, a better than Miracle Dice in their use, despite not getting as many. It's still quite good, and there's no restrictions on them. You know, if you really want to just, hey, my guy has a 4-up invul save he needs to make, and he took 5 wounds, here's 5 goddamn 4-ups for my Strands of Fate dice. Like, you can do that, you know? You can do that. And that's a particularly handy thing. Also, reroll 1 hit and 1 wound reroll is super nasty when it comes to high damage, low shot weapons, particularly things like the prism cannon coming out of the fire prism and other things like the bright lances. They can become really useful because a 3 with a, because hitting on a 3 is a 66.7% capped instead of repeating chance, right? And with a single reroll, it jumps up to like 80 something, I think. And then you're wounding most things on 3s or 4s when you're firing a vehicle. So it's like 80% twice. Like it's really good, man. It's really good. So I'd say Eldar probably the strongest. The weakest I'd say is a not even a question Death Guard. Now, naturally, I've mentioned before a couple of times that I'm not a very doom and gloom person. We still don't know points. We still don't know stratagems. We still don't know a lot of that stuff. But the Death Guard do not look good. The Nurgle's Gift aura is quite, like this is a good buff. Like, this is a good buff. But this is not something, or a debuff, but this is not something that makes them tankier. It makes the enemy easier to kill. And then Spread the Sickness is just kind of not great. It helps a little bit because you can kind of leave your objectives, but it's like army-wide sticky objectives is not a bad buff. Like, it's not, but it's still kind of mid from an overall concept point of view. And the fact that we saw nothing involving Disgustingly Resilient is a big fear. Like, obviously, so many of these various kinds of updates or previews don't show us the full picture, of course. Like, we know that. But this has been the worst mini picture I have seen. They don't look particularly tanky, and tankiness is kind of their shtick, which is unfortunate. Everything they've shown us is damage related, which is the weird part. Because Death Guard not supposed to be damage related, but they're like, hey, by the way, Sanguis Flux gives you more damage in a objective control or marker. Okay, here's the Plague Burst Mortar. It shoots well. I mean, okay. Here's some Psychic Focus Witchfire, which, I mean, granted, this does look pretty good, but it's damage. It's all damage. Also, not to mention, this Contagion range thing, the minus toughness, kind of a strange one when you think about it, because the whole thing they did was they gave Death Guard a ton of lethal hits. You know, Nurgle, Stinky, Pestilence, lethal hits on your Blight Launcher, your Plague Combi Bolter, your Plagues, no, not Plague Spewer, your melee weapons and stuff. But lethal hits is 6s to auto wound. And if you're auto wounding, you're not using the enemy's toughness. So Nurgle's Gift does nothing, because this affects their toughness. So if all of your weapons are ignoring toughness, but your ability is lowering toughness, it's a little thing. Granted, the damage is very consistent, but I wasn't ever playing Death Guard for their damage. I was playing Death Guard for their tankiness. So I'm a little like, I don't know how to feel about them. Cause I mean, T6 is a good metric. Like that's a tough boy. You know, T6 2-up armor, 4-up invul is a tanky fucking boy. But I don't know if it's like gonna be enough. Because AP has gone down across the board, no doubt. And damage reduction seems to have also just been removed. I haven't seen it anywhere so far. But I'm a little iffy. I'm a little iffy on the Death Guard thing. And the last thing you mentioned was Sleeper Pick. Sleeper Pick. I think it's gonna take me a while to get through some of these super chats. Apologies, chat. Maybe don't give any more supers until I catch up, if you don't mind. I know, crazy. I'm saying no to money, but still. I think demons might be the sleeper pick. I think demons are looking really good. I think they're looking really good. Shadow of Chaos is a super dope army rule. They're looking real good. The powers they get are really good. The enemy debuff that they get is really good. Warp Rift is nasty. The entire army can deep strike. And then the Keeper and Be'lakor, like they're looking really good. I'm not gonna lie, the demons are looking nasty. So we'll see how it turns out with these boys and girls. Anyway, let's go ahead and roll back here real quick. Nicholas gave 10 euros. Thanks so much. Hey, Bricky, thanks for covering all the rules news. Very nice insight you give, and it's just fun to hear you talk about Warhammer. Thanks. Also, what do you think will be the Custodies gimmick? That's a tough one, because at the moment, the Custodies have two main rules, Aegis of the Emperor and Martial Katas. And I kind of don't like katas. I think they're needlessly complicated and annoying. Like the random stances. Like it is a custodian thing to be like, oh, I'm fighting this certain enemy. Chunk. Oh, I'm fighting this kind of enemy. Chunk. Like it's kind of cool, I get it. But all of this shit is just ridiculousness. It's so complicated and overly annoying and just like they're good. Like they're good. You know, Captaris stance 1, no melee attacks can be rerolled against you. Like that's good. But they're just really aggravating to deal with. Besides that, like Aegis from the Emperor is the classic case of everything gets a 4-up invul and a 6-up. They have a 6-up Philip hitting its mortal wounds. Perfectly honest, I think they're going to go the Tau route. I think they're going to go the Tau route, and they're just going to say, screw it. It's all gone. You're going to get Tau rule. It's literally just, what's up, bros? Let's hit it. Bang. I would honestly see something like that. Some kind of totally different rule that kind of combines these things into one. But honest to God, I have no idea. Like, I genuinely have no idea. But the thing is that often a lot of you guys ask, like, you're like, hey, custodians are so big on like objective control because they're so low models, so they count as 2 models and stuff. But we don't need to care about that because now we have objective control. Like a custodian guard could be objective control 4 or something. You know, like they already have a solution to that problem. So there's no real need for objective secure, sticky objectives, what do you want to call this? Like no real need for it. It's just what it is. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what the Custodians will turn into. Let's see here. The Rainbow Carnifex, thanks for the £2. Eldar look busted. Nature is healing. Yeah. Son of Ulrich, in your opinion, do you think they'll do a faction focus for Divergent Marines? I need to find out my Black Templar rules for the Emperor. I'd say so, because one of the first codexes coming out is Dark Angels. And like it's like in year Q, it's either the end of this year or the first quarter of next year. And so they might do that. I'm not 100% sure if they will, but they might. But they might not, so I'm not quite sure. Mal Shy with the €5 says, to the man who made me want to play, I usually only build in paint, but your game review helped me decide. Thank you a lot. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. When you get a good group, you get some beers in you, there's nothing really like it. The Emperor's Chosen also with £5 pounds. Bricky, thank you for doing this rapid coverage of the 10E factions and for being the reason I got into 40K. I have too many unpainted Marines. The sky is blue. Good. Does the Pope shit in his hat? Indeed. Sean Byram, what do you think of the Sisters' lack of anti-tank besides hopefully the Battle Cannon Castigator? Well, see, for the most part, Sisters' anti-tank were, of course, melta weapons. And in fact, for the most part, Sisters of Battle were just, you want to deal with tanks? You bring meltas. You always bring meltas. And I'm sure you're referring to the fact that meltas are now strength 9, and therefore they're going to have a hard time wounding general vehicles. But I say this. with the changes to Miracle Dice and the more amount of Miracle Dice you're going to get, I think those 5-ups might actually just be the way you do your anti-tank now. That, or you can confer lethal hits, or who knows what'll happen with some of the melee stuff. We've seen no real melee attacks coming from the Sisters group. We haven't really seen what a Repentia looks like yet, or what rules the Repentia might get, or the buffs they might get. Because when you think about it, a Repentia squad will most likely have a Repentia superior that is leadered into them, giving them the whack. And if you have like a strength 7 chainsaw with a +1 to wound, that's all you need. Then you're gonna pry open tanks like a tin can. But so it all depends on that kind of stuff and what their AP values are, that kind of thing. Plus, you know, Miracle Dice are a hell of a drug. So you never really know. Plus, Sisters have always been known for a good portion of mortal wounds at times, so there's a possibility they could spill some of those scouts, maybe some devastating wounds. Who knows? I'm not too worried about it, honestly. One of the biggest restrictions for meltas being good against vehicles is the fact that they wound on a 5-up, but the melta profile is still good. They're AP4, D6 damage with an addition within half range. So when you think about it, it's only rough when you have to roll 5-ups. So just don't roll the 5-up. Miracle Dice Lamau. Miracle Dice Lamau. Might work. Elecman, do you think Disgustingly Resilient will become a stratagem? Maybe it'll be army-wide regardless of your detachments as sub-faction. I'm assuming it won't be because they only get one army-wide rule. It's army-wide rule, detachment rule, and then everything that goes in the detachment. So Disgustingly Resilient could become a detachment ability, I would argue. One would say that maybe instead of sticky objectives, like from this Plague Company one, you might end up instead getting Disgustingly Resilient instead of this one. Perhaps Plague Company is actually meant to be more of a Poxwalker style attack or ability, which could make sense because, you know, a bunch of Poxwalkers leaving objectives sick is kind of the better idea. Mickelson says, sending greetings from Europe. Could you do some insights into Necrons now that we have some more factions? Thanks. Keep it up. We love you, Bricky. Oh, well, thank you. You love me. Not everyone loves me. Necrons. Okay, so Necron fans are some of the most mauled and seethed cope fans I see sometimes. They can be relatively whiny, and which is unfortunate because I'm a big Necron fan. I've got a Necron army. I love the army. So it's really unfortunate to see how just whiny Necron players can be. I think this is partially because they've been made whiny by a very early codex in 7th edition. No, in 9th edition that ended up getting power creeped really fast, and they weren't good in 8th edition very much either. And then when they were good because of good secondaries, and that's boring. At the moment, the problem with Necrons is the same problem that we've seen with Votann, which is GW didn't give us a character. They didn't give us a character, which is infuriating. Reanimation protocols is nerfed in some ways, better in others. It's for living metal cases, it's way better. For multi-wound models, it's way better. For single wound models, it's not as good. Like things like warriors and stuff. Command protocols is good, but very boring, which is unfortunate because whether or not your thoughts are on the AdMech ability, legalized nuclear bombs, the ability is very fluffy and rather fun. Command protocols, I'm gonna lose track of my tabs, is just kind of boring. But they didn't give us a character, so I can't tell. Like this monolith, right? This monolith hits. It's got high OC, great melee, some insanely good guns, really strong weaponry. The Eternity Gate is very good as well, and it can revive D3 wounds every command phase. Like this monolith hits. And these warriors, like they're pretty decent. They are ballistic skill 4, but you know, command protocols will make them a 3. But I don't know what a lord does. You know, like I don't know, what does the lord do? What does an overlord do? What's Trazen, Zandrek, Imhotep? What's the Silent King do? What does a Scorpec lord do? How about a Luminor Zaraz, Vargard Oberyn? Like I don't know. A Technomancer, a Plasmancer, a Chronomancer. I have no idea. As far as we know, the Necron group in general are basing all of their thoughts on what we've seen here, and what we were shown was not even a tidbit or a drop. It was like a goddamn speck, a little flick of material, and it's not enough. It's not enough to know. I think that some of the stuff that we previewed here are pretty good. Protocol of the Hungry Void is a very good stratagem. The Spear of the Void Dragon really is going to hurt vehicles quite badly. The Doomsday Cannon is significantly better than it used to be. You know, like there's a lot of good to it, but you know, it is kind of, I guess it is kind of hard to look at reanimation protocols and then look at, you know, Strands of Fate and feel they're similar. But I don't know, man. You think that after a few concurrent editions of not being that great, Necron players would just kind of accept it, myself included. But I don't know, man. I'm not that worried overall. I think it can be quite fun as long as you do it properly. Siren, thanks for the 550 Canadian. Who would win in a fight? Godfrey, First Elden Lord, or Lionel Johnson? No armor or weapons, just fists. Is Godfrey like is my Elden Ring character a regular human? Because if my Elden Ring character is a regular human, wait, no, my regular human beat Godfrey though, and a regular human would not stand a chance against L. Johnson, and I killed him. So I guess it'd be L. Johnson. From a size perspective though, they're both like really big. I almost think that Godfrey would be larger than L. Johnson, like from just like a beef standpoint. Yeah, silly. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh dear. Oh dear, chat. Iolanith, is that how it's said? Hey, Bricky, as a major Death Guard player myself, what do you think would help them be better? -1 damage is gone and Feel No Pains were given to Knights. Well, Feel No Pains were given as a detachment rule to Knights. They are not given to Knights. They are given to Knights for now until their codex. It's hard to say because, wait, what the fuck are Death Guard? Are he Death Guard? Yeah, it's hard to say because we don't have the full picture. Who knows? Maybe the Plague Surgeon gives you a Feel No Pain and revives a model in the command phase a la Necrons. Maybe there's a rule for Chaos Lords of the Death Guard that give them a Feel No Pain. Maybe there's one that reduces the range in which they can be targeted from, gives them stealth. Who knows? It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. We don't have enough of a big picture yet. I think, you know, toughness is a nice thing, but lethal hits have been a little bit more common than I would like. And because of that, I feel a little bit iffy with that. Like Gift of Contagion right here. Pick an enemy within 18 inches of the Psyker and they are -1 to wound in melee. Like that's a pretty gosh darn good debuff. You know, that actually hits. That's like, oh, that is a solid debuff. But then Pestilent Fallout is just kind of mid. Because you don't get enough range for your guns, and so it's kind of whatever. I don't know. It's hard to determine because Death Guard are supposed to be Mr. Tank, and they're not seeming very tank. It could be a difference in style. Like, you know, we see Death Guard as Mr. Tank, but maybe they don't want to be Mr. Tank anymore. Maybe Death Guard aren't about Mr. Tank anymore. Maybe they're about Mr. Debuff, and so their whole shtick it might be debuffing now. And that's what makes them tougher. Who knows? Someone mentioned a bit ago that they think that Tyranids are becoming like a blue deck, like a magic blue deck, where Tyranids are becoming a control army. Because a Screamer Killer goes, eee! And then you take a Battle Shock test. Shadow in the Warp is army-wide Battle Shock test. Those Pyrovore, Biovore things, lower your movement, lower your charge range, all that kind of stuff. It seems like the idea is that they want them to be a control army, more so. And so maybe Death Guard are going to become a debuff army. So who knows? Who knows? Son of Ulrich Gem, do you think Nip Nip would play 40k? Asking for a friend. Only if they bring Pringles. Red Wolf, your covering of this has been so solid, made me think I'd love a bit of how to play or more rules breakdown. Would have loved it when I first started. I think I might do a how to play the game in 10th edition video. Most likely would go on the main channel, but I think that'd be a good idea. Yeah. Mr. Idiot. Oh my goodness, my doppelganger. Hey, Bricky, if you had to choose a new army to start based on the current previewed rules, what army would it be? Dash Tau Simp. That's a hard one. I'd say maybe Knights. What else has been there? Maybe Demons. I'd say Knights or Demons. Yeah, Knights or Demons. Demons are looking really cool. Looking really cool. Because right now I have CSM, Necrons, Militarum, Sororitas, Voton, and then like a little bit of Marines. And so out of all these, yeah, I'd say Demons. Maybe Nids. Maybe Nids or Demons. I like what I'm seeing with Nids. I like what I'm seeing with the Nids quite a bit, actually. So yeah. Jacob McBrayer. I started playing a few months ago, but stopped when I heard 10th coming out. I didn't want to relearn every rule. Totally fair. You would need to hold me at gunpoint to play a game of 9th right now. I'm so hyped for 10th that I just can't bring myself to play a game of 9th. Elect Man, again, I could see Katah's working either exactly like AdMech Imperatives, where you pick one at the start of a round, or as a detachment with Katah stratagems. Yeah, but I preferred if Custodians didn't have Katahs as their shtick. You know? It just doesn't feel like the thing Custodians would have as their army-wide rule. I don't know, it feels weird. And if it is, give it a new name. Marshal Katah's is an aggravating name. I despise it. The Dead in Cursus. What's your opinion on Tau drones no longer being tabletop models? As a Tau player, I'm a bit bummed by all the drones I built and painted being gone. Well, they're not gone. They're just representing as tokens now, which might be fun and not fun. But it depends on you, because basically each drone is a token. If you have a Pathfinder team with a recon drone, you just put it there with them to state that they have a recon drone, or a grav inhibitor drone, or a pulse accelerator drone, or a guardian drone, or a shield drone. Like it's just a token to count. And I don't know about you, but I kind of prefer it that way, because think of it like this. If drones are not units anymore, drones are not units. Therefore, or like models, sorry, models. Therefore, you're not paying the points premium that drones cost for them to be a model. So I'm going to assume, this is an assumption, I could always be wrong, that drones in their own right as war gear will become cheaper across the board, because they're not models. You don't have to like ship them away to get to the soft Kinder Egg underneath, the crisis team or whatever, right? And so they probably will allow you to therefore use more drones, but also just take more stuff, take more units, take more infantry, take more suits, because your drones are just there chilling. And so I actually kind of like the idea. You're still using your drones. They are there being placed as tokens or markers for units. They're just not models, and you're not taking drone units anymore. So I'd say it's fine. But that's just me. Azek After Dark, thanks for the $5. Hey, been playing since 3rd, and I have to thank you for bringing so many new players to the people of Javi. Good stuff, brother. Hey, wow, that's very kind, Dono. Thank you so much. Christopher Clayton. Let's see. Oh, I gotta scroll up. Not showing a leader in the detachment that cares the most about leaders is a choice. Fingers crossed Royal Wardens have battle line. I know. But that's... I feel like every good faction preview has a leader. And or shows a leader, and the ones that haven't are the ones that don't look good. Voton didn't show a leader, and that's its own. That's like it's got its problem. Death Guard did, but it wasn't as important. Eldar did show a leader. You know, Farseer is a leader. Tau didn't show a leader. The ones that didn't show a leader feel like they're the ones that feel the most underbaked, because we don't know what their leaders do, and that's like characters are half the point of the thing. Elect Man, Necrons are an army that rely on their characters, so not showing any characters in the article seems really bass-ackwards. Yep, and there's the exact same statement. Bearcat, hey Bricky, for the Knight's Oath, do you think reroll all ones or just one hit and one wound of one per phase? No. The Knight's Oath is reroll all ones. Yeah, because it's, see here. When anytime a model is selected to shoot or fight, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a reroll of 1. That means if you've got ones, you reroll ones. It's not once. It's not a singular one. Because if it was a singular one, it would be like this. You may reroll 1 hit roll, and you can reroll 1 wound roll. This one states you may reroll a hit roll. A means multiple, technically, in this situation. This rule is written like all the other rules, which is all ones and all ones in general. Born not to run. The summary of Death Guard says they're very tough. I know what they say. I know what GW says. I don't believe them. So we'll find out. GW says things all the time. Herm, with changes coming to 10th, do you think running fists can actually not be a death sentence? Love all you do, Brick. Well, of course, because fists, in a sense, don't exist. See, when it comes down to your various detachments and stuff, let's go with sisters, right? The way detachments are working is that it's no longer the name. It is the rule. For example, this is the blood of martyrs, right? This is the Order of Our Martyred Lady detachment rule. But they're making it so that you don't feel weird to play an army that's painted differently. One of the biggest questions I always get is, hey, Bricky, I painted my CSM as Iron Warriors. Can I play them as Alpha Legion? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's no issue. They're making it so that you're no longer playing as Alpha Legion. You are now, and you're no longer playing as Order of Our Martyred Lady. When the Sisters Codex comes out, I think they said there'd be 6 detachments, right? They will have 6 detachment rules. It's not going to be called Order of Our Martyred Lady, Valorous Heart, Sacred Rose, Bloody Rose. It will have, like, the detachment is Hallowed Martyrs. Blood of the Martyrs. Obviously, it's meant to represent Order of Our Martyred Lady, but it allows you to be, I painted Bloody Rose, but my detachment is Hallowed Martyrs. It doesn't matter. It lets you customize and do whatever you want without the feeling of need to paint exactly your correct order and feeling stuck with it. So Imperial Fists will have a detachment that represents Imperial Fists when the Space Marines comes out. Will it be good? I have no idea, but it doesn't really fucking matter anymore because you can just run your Imperial Fists in a different kind of detachment rule and they're still Imperial Fists. It's just a different detachment. Isaac Hess, why would you ever take Plasma over Melta? They cost the same. Plasma is the risk of suicide for less than Melta. Because we don't know the cost of Plasma and Melta in the new edition at all. Plasma has longer range, more shots, and also can be used against light infantry as well, whereas Melta is the opposite. Plasma is rapid fire 1, if I'm not mistaken, so Plasma can be 2 shots, and Melta Gun is 1 shot. Melta Gun is 12-inch range, Plasma is 24-inch range. Multi-Melta is 2 shots, but it's 18-inch range now, and a Multi-Melta is a heavy weapon, and will most definitely cost more than a single Plasma Gun. Most definitely. Claymore, what's your prediction for Orcs? Well, they're getting Wa. Maybe a lot of the weapons will have sustained hits to play on their DACA lore. No, it's not a bad call. Yeah, I would argue a lot of sustained hits would be the one that would happen for Orcs because it's very much DACA. Or rapid fire or assault. All of those are perfectly fine options. I think Wa will mainly stay roughly the same. Kind of like a NIDS thing where in a command phase you call the Wa and then, you know, everything gets a giant buff and classic Orc stuff. I'd say it'll be pretty similar. Hey, Sean Barham, how about Custodies being resistant to battle shock? Nah, I mean, I'm sure they'll have a high leadership. They'll probably have like leadership 5, a lot like Gilliman and stuff. I'm sure that's what their rule will be. Shaman's Son, excited for if they decide to give agents in the Imperium their own army rules. Give me the soup. I want to run Knights and Assassins. Super excited for your thoughts on Assassin Arm Kingmaker, by the way. Oh, dude, Kingmaker is such a good book. It's such a good book. I already finished it. It's amazing. Yeah, I know that they, I think they're going to have like a detachment, not a detachment rule, but their own like index, I'm assuming. I know they mentioned assassins get lone operative just naturally, which is really good. Basically, your assassins can't be shot outside 12 inches, which is like at all times, which is really good. So, yeah. Rice with the 5 pounds. I lol when Red talked about Kroot Hounds spotting for a Riptide. Then I realized eligible to shoot does not necessarily mean can shoot. That's a good point. I don't know about that. But whatever the reason is kind of funny. It's Tau is literally just, hey, spot me, bro. Henry Barker. Custodies should have very basic rules and outstanding data sheets. They care about they're about sheer power, not fancy tricks. A little bit. The Custodian don't have like fancy tricks, but they're good at everything. They study their enemy like excessively, you know? It's not about fancy tricks. It's more about like, we're fighting this enemy. Swap to this style of fighting. In reality, I would almost think Custodians should be a little bit like Death Watch. You know, like what they're fighting, they're just better at dealing with because they've studied it for so well. I don't really know how to represent that though. Good to know, Bob. With a new faction release, some sub-factions breaking off into their own codexes and having learned some more about lore, any plans for making a renewed every faction in a nutshell? Probably not. If anything, I would do it with individual stuff, like the Space Marine one I did. I would do one for like Imperial Guard regiments or something like that. Iolanth with the $10. It's Iolanth. Don't worry, mate. Oh, thanks. I know we don't have a big enough picture. I like brainstorming, fun to do with content creators. Thanks again for your input. Thank you very much for your donation. I appreciate it. Brother Chaplain Luis. So is each faction getting one attachment or a few? I like to see a Monka attachment for Tau. If I am not mistaken, I'm pretty positive that it's when the indexes launch, you get one sub-faction like this, the Blood of the Martyrs. And then when your codex launches, you get the other 5. Which I'm assuming, because right now we have Cao Yun for the Tau, I'm assuming that we would therefore get Mont Ka as a different attachment, because attachment rules are a detachment rule, 4 enhancements, which are the new relics and warlord traits, and then 6 stratagems. And then there are supposed to be 6 detachments. So I believe that is what that's supposed to be. I think. So unfortunately, it does mean that you'll have to wait a little bit for your fancy one to come out. But welcome to Games Workshop. Enjoy your stay. Like this is honestly it's crazy to say this. This is the best it's ever been for Warhammer. These are the most rules and the fastest released rules we've ever gotten. So while it might suck if you're new, there's a relativity part that just has to be accepted. Brother Aramin, wondering what will survive the update for Gene Stealer cults. Really love their flavor 9th edition, but I want more melee support in 10th ambush crossfire. Yeah, I'm a little worried about GSC. GSC is a wacky army, and I genuinely have no idea what they're gonna do for their rules. Like, I genuinely have no idea what they're gonna do for them. I'm assuming maybe blips, maybe crossfire, but I don't know. Crossfire is too shooty, though. That's kind of sad. That's such a wild and true statement. Dude, I know, right? Like, yeah, welcome to the golden age of 40K. This is the golden age of 40K. And it still has problems. The Barbarian Ninja, thanks for the 15 pounds. Hey, Bricky, I started my Warhammer journey with your factions video. Now I am starting to build my Carcharodon's army. Thank you for my future bank account debt. Can't wait for 10th. We love debt up in here. Let's go. Top shelf. Love your stuff, Brick. Can you explain what an attachment is? Are they just specialized units? No, so basically, you think of it as a sub way of making your army. So I want to collect Space Marines. I buy Space Marines. Because I am playing Space Marines, I get the Space Marine army ability, Oaths of Moment. No matter what Space Marines I play, except for Chaos, no matter what I do, I've got Oaths of Moment. But there is a secondary choice now. I can run my Space Marines with these other 6 options. That is an attachment rule. You pick one, and you get that rule in addition to Oaths of Moment. And that's about it. So, you know, if you play Tau, you'll always get for the greater good. But then you'll pick your detachment rule. At the moment, all you have is Cao Yun. But in the future, you might get Mont Ka, Farside Enclaves, who knows. Basically, they're basically sub-factions. They are sub-factions. It's like playing Sisters and then playing Bloody Rose. Playing Space Marines and then playing Salamanders. Let's see. Chase Wilson, thanks for the $10. Could you imagine they kept letting Vikaz keep his +2 Mora or move aura? Talk about horror. What, +4-inch moving world leaders? Good lord. Hey man, that blood's gotta flow from somewhere. It'd be from my ears and my eyes. JT Flamer. Hey Bricky, as a player of Tyranids, Grants, and Eldar, I am mixed on the psychic changes. Wanted to know your opinions on psychic going forward. I actually like the psychic changes. I think they will speed up gameplay rather significantly for a lot of the psyker demanding armies. I also think that they'll be easier to balance because there's no longer a situation where there's a giant psychic test, variations and buffs that go with your psychic test, and also deny the witch tests and buff that involve the deny the witch tests. It's a gun. And if a psychic power is a gun, then that means buffs that buff guns work with it. And buffs that help your people survive damage, like better saves, better toughness, will also be affected at it. I think it's a lot more simplified, so to speak. That's the best way I would go with it. Bricky, I doubt you'll see, but please get some glasses that fit you. It's not that. I do this because the way I like talk and stuff, it pushes down with the headphones, and the headphones like slide a little bit. So I don't do this when I'm doing normal stuff. I promise. I know what you mean though. Brother Chaplain Luis. Part of the fun for subfactions was building around strengths and weaknesses. It adds flavor. I feel like I play Green Space Marine, not Salamanders. Are you referring to? Wait. Oh, as in this new change makes it worse, like lacks flavor? I agree. I do agree. That being said, sucks. And there's really no better way to put it. I'm like I agree. That does do it that way, but at the same time, it's worse if you're a big fan of salamanders and you want to play salamanders. It's better if you like playing custom armies and you like your salamander successors that have a pendency for reinforcements, and you can use the Imperial Fists rules without calling yourselves Imperial Fists. You will have a Salamander's detachment. You know, it could be called Born of Fire. Who knows what it could be? You'll have your style, but whether or not you like it is up to you. There is definitely less flavor in 10th than there is in 9th. But the reduction of flavor is also the simplification of rules, which will make the game a lot more enjoyable to play. Hot take, if more players can play the game, if the game time is dropped by 30 minutes to an hour and it's easier to get into, I will accept less flavor. I will gladly accept less flavor. I don't like the fact that I have to, but it's okay. Just some dude. Hi, Bricky. Hello. Wing 0 with the 550 Canadian. Predictions are what you want from Orcs in 10th. Mass. Just thickness. Like, I wish Green Tide could be handled again. I want more Green Tide. That's simply what I'd like. More Green Tide. Mr. Idiot. As a Tau, what, $20, holy shit. As a Tau player, my greatest concern for the 5% of rules that have been shown is that so far, the most efficient playstyle would be to camp harder. Kayun, only lack of drone defense scares me, and only lack of drone defense scares me. Hopefully I'm wrong. It definitely does look campier overall, 100%. I'd say there's two caveats. One, getting angles with observers and using the pair thing might make you a little bit more aggressive to do so. And two, we were given Kayun, which is the defensive playstyle. I would imagine if we got to see what Monka was, it would be a less defensive playstyle. So it may just be more of a, this is what you were given situation, as opposed to the big picture. So we'll certainly see. It definitely does seem more campy, but I won't lie, that kind of is Tau. Often lore-accurate Tau you don't even see before they kill you. Lore-accurate Tau is an Imperial Guardsman with a pair of binoculars like, what's that over there? Before the railgun annihilates his Chimera. Before he just gets turned into a paste. It's like, oh, look, it's raining. Oh my god, those are missiles. That's kind of what Tau is like. The People's Panzer. Of course, points can change. AdMech players are so upset because they're already dirt cheap on points and dollars on plastic. Also, very unfluffy to be 5-up save and 4 ballistic skill. Oh, I disagree. Full stop. I think 4 ballistic skill is perfectly fine. I don't think it's unfluffy at all. Space Marines shoot better than AdMech do. I think that's just a simply known fact. The 5-up save, I think is not like, yeah, they're metal robot guys, but their metal robot guys aren't all like armor. They're cables and wiring and all of these like squishy joints and servos that can get shot. I always assumed that the 6-up invul save was to represent the bionics. The fact that even if you take a las cannon to the arm, you might survive because you can, you know, patch it up and fix it all up thanks to your bionics, where a regular human Imperial Guardsman would start bleeding out and dying. Yeah, I think the invulnerable save is a 6-up, and I don't know, like, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Sisters are a good shot of a Space Marine. I think it's a power armor thing. Power armors have targeting reticles and fancy servos and fancy power armor stuff. Also, it's a game too. Like, I get the fluffy part of it to an extent, but there needs to be some way to adjust the variation between the two. I've always thought that Skitarii were not necessarily crack shots, but were just kind of like Necrons, where they're very like formulated in lockstep, like very like kind of thing. Not this perfect like resolve. But then again, how it's written is very different. How it's written is very different. So I don't know. Sometimes they're better armored than like a guardsman or something, but not all 5-ups are made equal. Not all 3-ups are made equally. Not all 2-ups are made equally. Custodians have a 2-up, but their armor is 1,000,000 times stronger than a Terminator armor, or the armor of like a random tank. You know, it's aramite and adamantium. Here's the problem, chat. We don't use D20s, we use D6. We don't use a D20, we use a D6. We use a D6. And because we have a D6, we can only go so far. Not all 5-ups are made the same. Not all 4-ups are made the same. Not all 3-ups are made the same. If we had a D20, you could say a guardsman has a 17, and an AdMech has a 15, and a Space Marine has a 12. Like, there's a certain level of, it's a granular, I guess is the word, that you kind of just have to accept. If you, their 5-up is, or their bionics are represented by the 6-up invul save that guardsmen don't have. Guardsmen are 5-ups and nothing else. They have a 6-up. There's your bionics. It's just the way it is. And it's just how it has to be. I like the fact that they're changing ballistic skill. I'm fine with Sisters having a 3. I am biased, but I'm fine with Sisters having a 3, you know? Like power armor. Power armor is some fancy shit. You know, and power armor is a crazy deal. So the targeting locks, the servos, I mean, power armor is known to help. So, you know, I don't mind them being a 4-up shooting army. I really don't. I really don't mind it. Like, is it strange that a Pathfinder has a 4-up armor save? Yeah, a little bit. For Eldar, I don't really mind because Eldar are, they've got fancy elf armor that's like passed down from generations of craft world craftsmanship and bone weaving, blah, 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 Eldar crap. But you know, neither of them have an invul save. So there's that. You know, it all depends. The D6 doesn't offer enough specifics. I don't mind that Votann are at a 4-up. Votann are fine with having a 4-up. If Tau have a 4-up and their fucking super fancy high-tech stuff, Votann can have a 4-up with their super fancy high-tech stuff. Yeah, chat, don't hold your breath. We're not changing to D8s. We will never change to D8s. It will like never happen. The D6 is because it is extremely accessible and easy for people to use. Everyone knows the D6, so we're gonna stay there. It's just the way it is. Or D12s. Don't get excited, chat. You already have D12s, kind of, sorta. You get 2 D6s. 2d6 is your d12. Anyway, I don't mind the Skitarii Vanguard change. I really don't. I mean, their guns are still relatively decent. They've got quite good war gear abilities as well. And also, they seem to have this kind of thing about, what was it? Here it is. Several other Adeptus Mechanicus units have abilities that improve when they're near their battle line comrades. This gives Adeptus Mechanicus the feeling of a well-oiled machine. So it seems that like Vanguard and Rangers and the like will just kind of tether buff other units of the army. So the Skitarii might not necessarily be the thing you spam 40 of. It's the thing you use to pocket around as like your force. So we'll see. Anyway, no, I'm really not that, don't have a problem with that kind of thing. Also, because points, you know, who knows the points that go with it. I am so far behind. Oh, God. Let's see. I disagree with the perspective of less flavor. Think more measured, prepared, and refined ingredients. More subtle, more woody undertones. Ooh, ooh. It's a fine scotch, indeed. It's not about less flavor. It's about precision. Like that, thank you. Mamma Mia! Thanks for the donation as well. Soapy Muffins. Hey, Bricky, you love the content. Are there any named characters you hope get a model during 10th edition? Sahal! Night Lord's new leader guy who has Conrad Curse's crown. Sahal, please. Give me my Night Lord's character, for the love of God. Rainbow Carnifex, thank you for the 2 pounds. Tyranid problem is shadow is dependent on matchup? Of course. Almost every rule in this game is going to be dependent on matchup to an extent. Also, it's also not dependent on matchup at all. Because, wait, what? No. No. Nobody currently ignores Battle Shock. One thing that I will applaud GW on, genuinely applaud GW on, is that we have not seen Sith deals with absolutes. We have not seen any Sith that deals with absolute stuff yet. Yeah, so far. But like even the ones that would, like Synapse, it's better, but it's not full stop. You can still fail. It's better, but you can still fail. No? You say demons, chat, but are you just blasting shadow like literally the moment you start the game? I'm not. I'm waiting. I'm not gonna blast demons when they're in their own goddamn shadow in the warp. Or their shadow of chaos. I'm not gonna blast demons when they're in their deployment zone. Like, I would blast them when there's the possibility of flipping an objective. Think about when you're gonna use it. You know? Like, if you're, oh, this is a point swing. I could possibly take away 10 points from this guy if I blast him in his command phase at this point in time. You know, be a general. Think tactically. Think, Swarm Lord. Think, Hive Mind. Think. You gotta think about it. You gotta be specific. You know? Let's see here. Oh boy. Just some doom. With offensive psychic powers being moved to shooting phase, would that make T-Sons and Granites a shooting army? Also, how do you think Blanks and Watchers will work anti-psyker ability? Yes, I do believe that is what that will be. The psychic powers are very, very often entirely based around the keyword psychic. And so I'm positive things like Watchers and Blanks will have something that goes like a 4-up Feel No Pain against keyword psychic, or units cannot be affected by keyword psychic within X period of time. That's how I would honestly see it. John Apocalypse. Curious why they're not mentioning Monka. I imagine people will be complaining it being too OP with how heavy works without them seeing it played. Well, they're not mentioning Monka because Monka's a detachment rule. It's going to go to their codex when their codex comes out. You start with Cao Yun, so they gave you Cao Yun. That's the only reason. Alekman, thanks for the 20 bucks. Hot damn. Personally, I wish they handled detachments as subfactions like they do in Sigmar, where there really aren't unique stratagems or enhancements for each subfaction. Most just get one rule that reflects their flavor. I mean, sure. I guess it depends. I don't play much Sigmar, so I can't necessarily give you a genuine opinion on that one. I don't really fully know. But I kind of do like stratagems, though. I think it makes it fun to be a general. I like stratagems from like a tactical point of view. Dan playing Damn. Thanks for the 10 bucks from UK, dude. I think we know Emperor's Children are due to release this edition, but do you think we could see Dark Mech 2? Also, what existing army would you like to see get a range refresh next? You know, I hate to say it, but Eldar really need it, man. Eldar really need it. Why are there so many terrible Phoenix Lords? Why are there so many bad Phoenix Lords? It's really rough. Eldar really need it. So I go with Eldar. Maybe some Gar, but Gar got a good refresh recently, so I'm not too worried about that one. Electman, I believe granularity or minutia were the words you were looking for. For the dice? Yeah, I'd say so. Tristan O'Grady. Hey, Bricky, love your content. With 10th coming, I'm finally picking up 40k along with AOS. Thought you'd hate to know I'm going to be building Night Lord themed Chaos Sons of Bitches. Sisters of Battle. That's the wrong SOB. Named Order of the Agonized Icon. Based and cringe simultaneously. Proud of you. Burst Warsong, thank you as well. Hey Bricky, thank you for all your endless entertainment and calming moments in the stressful times. This broke college student is very appreciative. Hey, I was maybe never a broke college student, but I was a very low money college student, so I feel that. I feel that definitely. Background music is just like a coffee jazz background thing, you know? The sororitas arch enemies, sons of bitches. Nah, man, it's the misters of battle. No, I mean, a lot of the times I would think that most debuffs, like Sisters of Battle, will have some kind of anti-psychic ability where this unit cannot be affected by psychic attacks in some way. Like, you can't smite them. And sure, it might make things like Grey Knights and K-Suns more of a shooting army, but when you really think about it, if you were popping in and firing mortal wounds out in different places, you were a shooting army. You were just a different kind of shooting army. You just had two shooting phases. You were just rolling a different kind of gun. You were rolling the mortal wound zap gun, and then you were firing the bolters. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of was the same. It's just got a different name to it. So how it plays, I don't think will be a whole lot different. I actually do enjoy some of the NID rules right now. I think the NIDs are going to look pretty nasty. And yeah, now at least now your opponent gets a save against it. Or they might not. Yeah, we got to remember that like a 4-up to hit is still really good. There's only one 5-up army in the game, and that's orcs. Because they're orcs. And I guess maybe parts of Genestealer cults, but like Akkadian, right? You came out of the womb and they gave you a las gun and you learned how to deassemble it and reassemble it at like 7 years old. And you've been running drills for your entire fucking life. You are a career soldier from birth. You are a born soldier and you hit on 4s. Like, you know, it's like we said before, the D6 is granular. It's not granular enough. 4-ups are different across the board. 4-ups for Tau, Voton, Guard, and Skitarii, they're all different. 4-ups are not all made the same. But you're not going to make them 5. You're not going to make them 5-ups, so it's fine. All right, I got to roll back here. Bishop, new Tau rules makes me want to play aggressive. 60 breachers with -1 to wound, giving my broadsides with missiles a +1 to hit. Based. That does sound based. And whenever people run infantry heavy Tau, I immediately think they're baller. Elect Man. I'm not saying 40k should get rid of stratagems completely. I just don't think they should be married to sub-factions. Same with enhancements. Counterpoint. That's why there are so many new stratagems in the core book. The core book has 12 stratagems now. So your detachment sub-factions has the 6 additional. I think I prefer it that way. More for everyone, and then you can hyper-specialize after that. Rainbow Carnifex. Shadow is more matchup. Oh shit, Valrak is here. What's up, dude? Sorry, I'm going way back for all the super chats. I'm having a hard time getting caught up. What's up, man? I scroll back too far. Shadow is more matchup dependent than Oaths or the Sisters one. I may be a salty tyrannid bastard. Sure. But you also have a once per game, like, possible game-changing ability that's just like, boong. Also, don't forget, Shadow is a 2-part thing. You also have Synapse, which is really handy. I wouldn't be that salty as a Tyrannid guy. I think you guys are going to be fine. The Nids are looking quite scary. I think you guys are going to be fine. But also, because Nids aren't really majorly about all their rules. For me, I always thought Nids were like some good rules, but mainly just thick. And I mean, like, I need to put on my voice changer for this one. Thick. Data sheets. That's always how I assumed it. Mr. Idiot. 40k podcast has been one of the Universe 40k characters. Who would you pick to be the hosts? Oh, Lucius the Eternal would be the host. 100%. I couldn't imagine what would happen with that. His first guest would be Abzerdale Vecht of the Drukhari. Death's Brigade. I think my big worry with 10th is losing all the cool flavor they had in the Codex compliant chapters, given it's going to be in one book. I need those crazy, insane biker charge stratagems for White Scars. You're probably going to get that, though. Because when the Space Marine Codex comes out, there will probably be a detachment that represents White Scars that will have White Scar style biker rules. So I think you're probably going to get that. Alpha Celestial. Hey, Bricky, do you think Ghosts from Destiny would be considered AI or STC worthy in the 40k setting? Oh yeah, they would be hunted to extinction. Also, would your Actium War Rig loadout would be hardy in that universe if placed or nah? An Actium War Rig is just a belt-fed gun, so throw a sweet business on there and we'll see how long I last in the 40k universe. Kit, do you think Votann will be getting new units in 10th? Yes, absolutely, not even a question. They seem really limited when it comes to gun range and anti-tank for a slow shooting army. Well, they're supposed to be close range. They're not supposed to be long range, so their range is supposed to be that way. But they will definitely be getting new units. No doubt in my mind. Corey is a mouse. Resisting the urge to buy a Sign for St. Catherine. How difficult did you find yours to paint? Sisters are like top 5 hardest to paint armies in there. Because there's a lot of them and they're really intricate. Sisters, AdMech, GSC can be a bit tough as well. There's some really tough ones out there. They can be really hard. Harlequins especially. Bearcat. I think a lot of molding right now is because we don't know what the points are. I agree. I think judgments on what stuff is good is going to depend on that. 100%. 100%. The one that bugged me the most are the Votann players. Well, the Necron players are also being rather annoying too. But the Votann players in particular, because, like, guys, you had what might have been the most busted Codex release of all time. Nids, well, not of all time, of the last 2 editions, 8th and 9th. Nids maybe beat you. Nids might have been slightly stronger. But Votann were insane. You guys turn, right now, in 40k, Space Marines take more goddamn units than you do. Space Marines take more units than you do because your rules were so ludicrously busted that you needed a nerf so hard that it turns you into an elite army. So they look at all of these new changes and they look at the 4-up ballistic skill and the changes to all of their stat lines and they're like, oh my god, my elite dwarves. Like, brother, my brother in the void, you were not supposed to be the elite dwarves. You're supposed to be a normal army, like AdMech and Sisters. You're supposed to be regular. Yeah, of course these are fucking nerfed. That's the point. Because there's no doubt in my mind, all of this is gonna go down in fucking points. Like, of course this is nerfed. Your points are probably gonna go down with it. There's no way the land fortress is keeping its points at the current moment. There's just no way. Like, my brother in Rock and Stone, right? Rock and Stone, good God. Like, of course the points are gonna change. Why do you think they won't? You really think that you're gonna keep your 45 point the same cost as a Custodian Dwarf Terminators? No. No. No, not at all. It's gonna be, you're gonna get points drops because they don't want you to be an elite army. You were never supposed to be an elite army. Your rules got nerfed heavily, and so and your units got dropped, and so your points will go down too. I don't understand. It's like sometimes people don't have object permanence. It's like they just, it's literally like they don't have object permanence. Like they see these things, they read the rule, and they're like, this is worse than before. I can't believe Games Workshop would do this to us. I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. The ancestors wouldn't want this. Dude, the ancestors didn't die for this shit. The ancestors didn't die for this. Let's see here. Scroll. Jason Schaefer. Hello, I am enjoying your 10th edition coverage, even though I have no intention of playing. I'm holding out for Epic. Keep holding out then, because I don't know if that's going to happen. And then just some dude. Idea for an LVO unit, a giant driller unit as their version of a dreadnought. It can also be a model as an iron kin. Oh, I hope we get dreadnoughts, dude. Votann deserve dreads. Votann deserve dreads. 100%. Also, Votann, much like Necrons, didn't get a character previewed, which adds to the frustration. They didn't get a character previewed. I wish I knew what a call did, because that would help me probably quite a lot. I like, man, GW didn't show new points, so they assume points won't change. Exactly, no object permanence. Like, for example, I look at Eldar. That's not Eldar. That's not Eldar. That's not Eldar. That's not Eldar. Where the hell's my Eldar? Are you Eldar? Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Where? Did I get rid of my? Did I remove my Eldar tab? Based. Extremely based. Like, I'm assuming Eldar are going to get slight points increases. This is very good. These rules are very good. Like, quite good. And I'm assuming Eldar are going to get a little bit of a points increase. Just a tiny bit. And if they don't, they might just stay the same because they lost jump, shoot, jump, which is a big portion of their survivability. So I think something, well, besides the fire and fade stratagem. So I don't think there will be a huge difference in Eldar points, or they'll go up a tiny bit. Well, let me rephrase that. Every army is probably going to go up, besides maybe like Votann. Because normally when a new edition comes out, they kind of bump everyone's points by like 10 to 20%. And then they drop points as the time goes on. And then it's like, 11th edition, kind of like that. But yeah, Eldar is supposed to be like a quasi-elite. They're not quite have as many models as, say, like Sisters or Admech, but there's not as many as Space Marines. It's like a kind of an elite army. Because Eldar are glass cannons. That's kind of their whole thing. They're glass cannons. And so, really, I think that with this power, they're probably going to stay rather elite for the most part. Which makes sense, you know? Like, it makes sense. Shit, chat, have you been on the other side of a Baharoth? Have you ever fought a Baharoth? It's fucking bad. I have never, ever, ever experienced such pain in my life as dealing with an enemy who knows how to use Baharoth. Good to know, Bob. Slightly off topic, I just finished Sons of the Forest for the second time. Takes my favorite parts of 30k, the characters, and mixes it with my favorite parts of 40k, the cluster cluck, or fuster cluck, whatever. That is the Imperium. I have been told that Sons of the Forest is very, very good. I have been told it is very good. So, it's very neat to see. Plastic Panzer Factory. Bricky, do you like Kill Team? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't really play it much, though, because I have all the armies, but, you know, it's fine. Flyers didn't get talked about. Sussy. Yeah, they had that leak, but nothing to talk about Flyers. All we've ever seen so far is the Helldrake's Baleflame or Baleflamer. It's a little sussy. It's a little amogus, indeed, yeah. Not quite sure. But, I will say, dude, I don't think, like, Sisters we all know is my favorite army. Sisters is my overall favorite army. You guys all know this. It's been quite clear. I could not be happier with our preview. Not only do I think it's one of the more enjoyable previews they've shown off, but they gave us a big character, they gave us a regular squad, interesting weapons, good stratagem, solid rules. Really happy with how it turned out. Really happy. Triumph looks super fun too. Got some better, a couple buffs, you know, got some changes here. It's really cool. It's very, very cool. I'm very happy. Hey, Bricky and chat, hope you're having a good day today. Thanks, Major Monotone, I appreciate it. Okay, so question, is Ynnari come with their own codex or within the Eldar codex? That is a fantastic question. I'm actually not quite sure. I was a little bit wondering about that too, with the Harlequins and the Ynnari and stuff. Like, is it going to be in the Eldar Codex? And I'm like, I think, but I don't know. Well, we'll see how it turns out a little bit. The clowns, yeah, the clowns. I fucking love the Amogus sound on demand. Oh, dude, I've got so many. My favorite one is the emoji guy disintegrating. So good. Just some dude. If they ever release Lorgar's slightly special cousin, Logar, they should put him in a box with Korax due to the lore and have that box be sold out in 5 seconds by scalpers. Yeah, the scalping thing is getting really bad. It's getting really bad. Honest to God, I don't get paid enough to make a decision on how to fix that because I genuinely don't know. Besides IP tracking, maybe, but even then, like I really don't know. CSM easy is my favorite new rule, dude. The CSM preview is probably top 3 as well. CSM are looking. I'm just gonna start closing some of these tabs. It's getting ridiculous. The CSM one is so fun. The idea of just making somewhat suspicious packs with big gods entirely to just get better, to kill things better is so CSM. It's so CSM. Hey, what's up, Abdullah Nasir? Or Nasir, technically. Hey, Brickster, much love. What do you think is going to happen regarding chapter taxes / craft worlds? Also, are you going to try Bolt Gun? I will be trying Bolt Gun. I'll be playing it on Twitch the day it comes out. But let's see here. Chapter taxes / craft worlds. The same thing that we've seen going on with all the other ones. They're going to be moved into this detachment rule. Like, all right, chat, Eldar players in the chat, I need your question. Eldari, battle host detachment rule, unparalleled foresight. We're in agreement. This is an Oathway thing, right? Like, this is Oathway. As far as as what they're representing. Because Oathway are the ones that are super mega see into the future, correct? Yeah, okay, so I assume that it's Oathway. And then, you know, we look at CSM. Oh, we didn't see the attachment rule for CSM. That's right. Yeah, it's probably got to be Oathway. And, You know, if we look at, let's say, Space Marines and Militarum, Militarum's one is, they mentioned Born Soldiers somewhere, which is, where is it? Here it is. You have the Born Soldier's Detachment Rule, which confers lethal hits on ranged attacks made by units that remain stationary. We all know Born Soldiers is Cadians. You know, like we all know that's Cadians. It's very clear. If you check out, say, Space Marines, their Gladius Task Force combat doctrines, this is most likely Ultramarines. You know? Like, these are the doctrines of the Codex Astartes. These are Ultramarines. Yeah, Imperial Knights is is that House Tyrannus? Oh yeah, House Tyrannus is the tankier one, right? Why the fuck am I on Forge World? Yeah, it's probably like House Tyrannus there. And the Tau Empire Kaoyun one, I think, is Tau. Isn't it just the Tau Empire? Yeah, Noble Lance, Indomitable Heroes. Because if we do Imperial Knights here, House Tyrannus, you said? Each time a model with restriction loses a wound, unless it was the moral wound, roll a d6. On a 6, it's not lost. Yeah, so it's the Tyrannus ability. So, like I said, there's always the singular one that they're aping. They're aping it, basically. But it's not specific. Dude, Canis Rex looks so good. Canis Rex looks so good. But they're aping it. And that's kind of the whole point. Like, I'm pretty sure... Didn't NIDS talk about their detachment rule is the pick one of 3 things to get before the game starts to fight an enemy with, I'm pretty sure. Hey, Abdullah. Brick, love you, but don't pull a DK. Hey, I fixed it. Also, my wife just got me a Steam Deck, so I'll be using it for bulk gun. Hell yeah, that sounds good. Also, Alpha Celestial, do you think that GW is causing certain rules? Wait. Do you think that GW is causing certain rules, or the more grand they look, the easier to play versus the harder rules like Tyranids for more skillful type? I'm gonna need you to repeat that. I'm gonna need you to repeat that. Nicholas says the cream. The cream. Yeah, I got that shit on lock. I'm assuming there was something about like the grander rules and stuff. I'm not sure. Necron attachment fits all dynasties, honestly. Yeah, I think the Necrons one is more of a, I would assume it'd be Sautek, Awakened Dynasty. I'm assuming it's meant to represent Sautek. Sautek have been known for their characters. They have Zandrek. They have the Stormlord Imhotep. Oberon, you know. No, I wouldn't say it's Mefrit. I think Mefrit would be just something more shooty based. Jojo Shiro, thanks for the 24 euros. Hey, Brick, a bit off topic, but the successor chapter Forge World models getting the axe. I really hope we get a codex supplement and plastic kits. I want to start a Carcharodon's army, but I can't start without Tiberos. That's a good point. I mean, I would just kit bash Tiberos. I wouldn't really bother with the resin. The kit bash ones look better 90% of the time anyway, because it's such a shitty model. So I would really go more on that line instead, at least personally. But we will probably be getting a successor. Well, when it comes out, you're getting 6 detachment rules. So you're just gonna get 6 detachment rules, pick the one you like the playstyle the most of that fits with your army and roll from there. And the rest is all on you. Thoughts on how Drukhari will be? Dude, I have no idea. I have no idea. My assumption is maybe their army rule will be power from pain, or their detachment rules will be a 3-parter. Like, detachment rule, Cabal units get this, Witches get this, Covens get this. That's one detachment rule. And then, like, the next detachment rule is pop, pop, pop. That's my assumption, but honestly, Drukhari is the big question. Bricky, what are your top 3 characters in Smash Bros? Oh, hell yeah, let's go. Samus. Regular Power Suit Samus, number 1. Number 1. Power Suit Samus player. After that, I'd probably say Ike, maybe Kirby. Kirby or Ike, I like both of them a lot. And then Ridley. I love Ridley a lot. He's a really good time. I'd probably go with those. Ricardo Andrade. Thank you for the €5. Hey, it's the Brick. Unrelated, what kind of sub is best for you? YouTuber, Twitch, love from Europe. Well, I mean, the best sub is myself. You know, gotta say, chat, been down bad. And, well, a man's got a sub when a man's got a sub. Technically, a Twitch sub would probably be better because we don't have memberships on this channel, I don't think. I am almost positive this is just super chats and just if you want to watch. So technically a Twitch sub is better, but honest to God, man, you don't gotta do anything if you don't want to. You watching and chilling here, that's enough. I'm cool with that. Just happy you're around. Nah, Bricky brought Night Lords to a tournament. He's a top 100%. Where's the chart? Where's the 4 chart where it's like is a top and then acts like, or I guess it's backwards for you guys. Acts like a top and is a top. And then like acts like a top and is a top is like World Eaters and stuff. Unfortunately, acts like a top and is a bottom is Night Lords. Like where's my Guilty Gear Strive cross-reference? Acts like a top is Eno. Acts like a top is a bottom is Milia. Acts like a top is Soul. Acts like a bottom but is a top is like Zato. I don't know. Why are we talking about this? I'm sorry. Michael Lee with the $20. Thank you. Hi, Bricky. I don't play Warhammer 40K, but I have been following along with your videos. Question for you, with all the current information out so far, which 10th edition armies do you think you'll have the most trouble fighting? Most trouble fighting. Nids are looking pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie. You can't see their detachment rules right now, but they basically have a fancy-pantsy detachment rule that allows them to confer either lethal hits, precision, or I think sustained hits for their entire army, depending on who they're fighting, which is really nasty. And I think Shadow in the Warp is just a very good ability that I think is underrated. It's got quite strength. I'd say Eldar also are looking quite strong. And I'd say World Eaters. World Eaters are looking real spooky. If you roll hot enough and you get plus 2-inch move and advance and charge, good Lord, save us all. Save us all. I'm still salty about Eldar getting Miracle Dice, but better. I'm not, and I'm the Sisters simp. Because I think there's a fundamental difference in the use of the two. Sisters get way more Miracle Dice, and they get them differently. They get them from dying. They get them from martyrdom. That's so Sisters-y, man. Whereas the Eldar get it from fancy-pantsy, like scrying the future. And they don't get as much, but they use them better. They don't get as much, but they're used better. I like it. I think it's kind of fun. I like Miracle Dice as a mechanic, and I think it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. The Eldar have the better mechanic, but fewer uses. Better mechanic, fewer uses. Also, the fact that you can like re-roll your results to scry into the future, into multiple futures, is so cool. Even though you lose a dice each time, like, it's really dynamic. It's really dynamic. They get just as much as they can make them 6s. It's once per turn. It's once per turn. So yeah, it's once per turn. but also it's only within 12 of the Farseer. And that's every single, like you have to take multiple Farseers to get that constantly going well. I'm not so I really don't much care. It's not just automatic. It's once per turn when you use a fate die, substitute a roll, it can become a 12. Like, oh well. It's fine. Besides, if you look at sisters, they're gonna get a lot of miracle dice. Not only do they get 10 throughout the game, once per turn, but it's every time someone dies, which is even more. And then they can get 6s with the Fiery Heart Relic. For everyone that dies, it becomes a 6. And then there's also the, what is this? If you use an active faith, so if you use a miracle dice with this Battle Sister squad, you just gain another miracle dice once per battle. So that's essentially God knows how many more. And then, depending on the sister squad, and then you get an extra miracle dice for every objective you hold in your command phase. And then, if you buy a simulacrum, then you get an extra miracle dice when you kill a unit. Like, you're getting so much more miracle dice. You know, at most, it's 6 more miracle dice with Battle Sisters if you take 6 battle line units. But it's not just Battle Sisters that take cherubs. Celestian squads and Dominion squads also take cherubs. And this is once per battle, so you know it's only 6 max there. But if you do 3 on 3, then you know that could be 12. And then you know you gain more miracle dice from this, and you kill things, you get miracle dice. Like you're going to be drowning in miracles, but there are restrictions. Eldar don't get the restrictions, which if I'm being honest, that feels lore proper. Sisters are a big group of insanely zealous warrior nuns, and that through like almost like a Wa orc belief type thing, make miracles happen. Eldar are precise, are specific, and are laser focused on what they're doing, which is why they scry the future, look into the future, and prepare their tools for the upcoming battle. They're stronger and better, but they're specific and specialized. The sisters wield their ability like a flamer, where they just go whoosh, and everything gets affected by it, where the Eldar wield it like shurikens, like shuriken weapons. They are specific and poignant. All right, enough of that. Alpha Celestial, thanks for $20. Oh, there we go. So are the rules for factions like Space Marines previewed stronger for higher new player armies with a lower skill cap versus rules like Shadow in the Warp that offer more veteran players to control? If so, how rank skill level? Okay, so I'm assuming you're referring to how do the rules affect people based on their skill level, is what it seems to sound like. Basically, based on that, if I'm taking that properly, what I like is that for the most part, for most armies, it gives you more choice. Chad, I don't know if you've read Requiem Infernal before. That is a book and a half. Oh my God. Almost every army, I think, has become more intelligent in their uses. And I think that's what's the most important part, is because if you use choice, the more choice you have, the better you'll do. The better the player expression of skill becomes. If you have more choice, it means if you play better, the better you'll do. So for something like Space Marines, their ability in their own right, Oaths of Moment, is not particularly skillful. Pick a unit, full rerolls to hidden wounds. It still offers you choice, but it's not like the craziest thing ever. Doctrines? Better. 3 uses, once per command phase, 1 use only. When you pop these is an expression of skill, and it will be better than some. Has a lot more going for it. Tyranids, when you pop Shadow in the Warp, is a very important thing. It's a very important skill determining who you're fighting, when's the best time, what buffs do they have, what buffs don't they have. You know, if you're fighting CSM, you're not going to pop it when Abaddon is doing his full reroll for battle shock tests, you know? CSM even. When do you pop dark packs? When is it a good idea? When might you get yourself killed? You know, Blessings of Corn. Which ones do you use for your various corn Yahtzee? Lots of stuff like that. Things like AdMech are a little not as fun. Picking your Doctrina is not the most crazy expression of skill, and Rad Bombardment isn't anything skillful. It just happens. Granted, it's pretty funny. Fart gas. I would say the ones that have the highest expression of skill currently are the Miracle Dice people, Eldar and Sisters. Because not only is it about generating your dice and how you how it's used, but it's another resource. It's a brand new resource that you use throughout the entire game. And that right there, I think, makes it a solid expression of skill. I would also say maybe Militarum, because orders are, you know, to an extent, an expression of skill, getting your proper orders. Much more like a general. Other than that, yeah, I mean, the ones that are like the lowest expression of skill, I'd say are Krons, Voton, and Death Guard. Death Guard, you literally do nothing. It just makes it larger. You make no choices. Voton, same thing. Your opponent kills you and they get tokens. Like that's it. There's nothing skillful in letting your own guys die. And Necrons are, we just come back alive, you know? So like they just come back. They just go boop. The Tau one is a great expression of skill. Yeah, the Tau one is really good. Tau is super good. Pick your targets, pick your observer, pick your shooter. That was a good one. Death Guard is a movement skill, I guess. Yeah, I would argue that Death Guard is a movement skill thing. But that's still like, it's not choice. Movement is already a majorly important part of Warhammer. It's arguably the one with the highest skill ceiling, the movement phase. But at the same time, there's no choice in the matter. And that, I think, loses an expression. All right, let's see here. Koga, thanks for the 10 pounds. Hey everyone, hope you're having a good evening. Interesting rules, hoping that the Monka ability is nice when the Codex comes out. Unfortunate that Kalyan doesn't let me use my Breacher/Suits army. I mean, yeah, it does. It just makes you use them later. It makes you wait, and waiting is boring. I get what you're saying though. Philippe Hollanda, Bricky, have you seen Pete the Wargamer's Kit Bash of the Lion in the Heresy era Curse? I have. It looks stellar. Excuse me. Mr. Idiot, your thoughts on the idea of gambits? Ah, yes. That conversation. Let me go through these other super chats real fast and we'll get onto that because that's going to be a long conversation. Brian Alamin, this was 20 bucks, goddamn. I just wanted my orc preview. I want the green tide back. I just want to wah. I know. Orc, I know. One day it'll arrive. Dan playing Dan, hear me out. Death Guard should be able to ignore up to 7 wounds per turn/round. That way they're tanky, but the opponent can bait it. It's actually a choice. I like your idea, but I think it might come out in practice be a problem. I like the vibe, but 7 ignored wounds a battle round is a lot. Way too much. Maybe 7 ignored damage. Like in general, in total, but even that might be too much. I see what you're saying though, to make them a little bit tankier. All right, let's go and find the card system. Man, maybe 7 save rerolls. That might be just as bad. That might be also problematic. I don't know. It's a little bit, it's a hard one to determine. How far down is the, here we go. All right. Here we go. Okay, Elect Man, let me read this. I'd argue with you that some of the amount of skill involved with Death Guard and Voton, you have to choose if you're going to put your army in range of enemy guns or give up a unit for tokens. Yes, but it's not a choice, really. It's a movement phase thing, and that's already a high skill ceiling situation. It doesn't change how you utilize your army rules in its own sense. It's just, it's passive. It's a passive buff. Manny Panero, thank you for the $10 swell. Nothing on my window about the flyers yet. Nothing yet. I know they changed up how Valkyries and stuff work. Nothing yet. Nothing about how many flyers you can take or anything. We'll see. We'll see. So, gambits, chat, missions and objectives. So, the way you play, so a lot of you guys I've noticed who are coming in are rather casual players, and you don't, either you played a bit of the match-made variant, or you have hopped in and you're playing the classic secondary missions and stuff, and you don't seem to realize that mission scoring has wildly changed. Wildly changed. Now, when you play Gambit, there's this guy called the Drifter, right? And he's like, all right. Cabal on the field, and then it's actually orcs and you die. But now this is entirely a card system. The way this works is that in the battle rounds, second, third, and all the battle rounds basically with the caveats, you gain 5 points for every objective you control, up to 15. So up to 3. You cannot go more than 50 points for your primary objective. No more than 50. So in battle round 2, 3, and 4, if you hold all of them, you get 45 points. And on the 5th one, you'll cap it out for 50 with one more objective. Like usual, in the current mode, the second player scores their victory points for primary at the end of the game in the final battle round, as opposed to the classic. However, it should note that right now, currently, the way primaries work is it's hold an objective, hold 2 objectives, and hold more than your opponent. Now it's just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Simple. Very simple. The thing is that the secondary missions have been changed. And there are 2 ways to do secondary missions. There are tactical missions and fixed missions. So let's say you've got this current mission, Overwhelming Force. While the secondary mission is active, each time an enemy unit that was started the turn within range of an objective marker is destroyed, you score 3 VP to a maximum of 5. 2 things can happen. If you are using tactical missions, you basically get a gigantic deck of 16 cards. And when you complete the mission, that card is discarded and you get a new one. 2 of them, I believe. Yeah, you'll draw 2 secondary mission cards at random. So it's like, cool, I got 3 or 5 victory points, whatever it was. Nice, put away, new card. And then you can keep doing that up to 40 points. So if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be 100 points, 50 primaries, 40 secondaries, 10 for painting, which is what we kind of have now, give or take. The thing is, what the difference is that you can also do an old school secondary mission called fixed missions, where you pick 2 cards and you stay with them the entire game. So if you want Overwhelming Force, you can keep it for the entire game and score 5 victory points over and over again. You don't discard it, you just keep doing it over and over and over. The downside is that you can only score 20 points per card. So if you use the entire deck of 16, then you just score 40 points. Finish, done, 5 points. Finish, done, 3 points. Finish, done, this, up to 40. If you pick only 2 cards, each individual card can only score 20. So if you do a great job with Overwhelming Force, you can get 20. But if you don't do a good job with the other card, you can just get 0 or like 2. even though you would still score from overwhelming force, it might not, like, you can't go past 20. So basically, it's giant deck of a bit more random, but a higher payout, or 2 very fixed specific, but if you can't pull them off, you're really screwed. Now, let's say things are going terrible. Let's say things are awful and you're breaking at the seams and life is awful. Some things can happen. Example 1. New orders. 1 CP. You can discard a card and draw a new one. Cool. Cost a CP, but swap out a secondary. Neat. You know? Pretty simple. If you're using tactical missions, that is, of course. On the other hand, you can discard a secondary. At the end of each player's turn, if that player is using tactical missions, aka the big 60, they can discard 1 or more of their active secondary mission cards, and if they do so, as long as it's not the 5th battle round, they gain a CP. So you could be like, I just pulled open 2 cards, and one of them kind of sucks and I'm not going to get it. But instead of discarding it, I'm just going to toss it and get a free CP. However, there are things called gambits. Gambits are entirely for you, my friend, but that's the point, is that it's an act of desperation. At the end of battle round 3, you choose to do this, and your opponent knows you're going to do this. So, because of that, they can counter it to an extent, and you can't score primary anymore. But if you only scored like 10 points, and you go for this gambit, and you're able to pull it off, you're getting 40 points. That's huge. It is literally I'm not going to win this, I'm doing a Hail Mary. I am giving this a Hail Mary. But your enemy has time to counter it, because it's the end of battle round 3. They have 2 full turns to shove you out of the corners, shoot your guys in the corners, etc., etc. It's already difficult, but it's difficult plus a roll. And I'm sure nobody who loses to a gambit will ever be mad about it. I'm sure they'll be super okay with it. That's my sarcasm coming out right there. So, yes, it'll be a bit rough, but it's also kind of epic. And for the most part, I know a lot of us like that epic feel of the game. So it all depends. But the missions are a lot simpler. It's attacker, defender, deployment, the mission rule, what the primary is, the secondary, and the gambit. You know, take and holds, bada bing. Mission rule, sweep and clear, which is sticky objectives, basically. That whole thing. 30 points is a lot to pin on a single roll. It's a lot, but that's the point. It's a gambit. It's a gamble. You are losing. You are losing. You are now no longer allowed to score primaries. And let's not forget this, chat. You still can't go past 50. You still can't get more than 50. Even if you get the 30 VP, you still can't get more than 50. So if you had 30 points in primary, you do a gambit, you'd still only get 50 max. There's a lot of interesting opinions on this. There's the 40K is meant to be a narrative lore game who love it, and then there's the 40K competitive who hate it. I'm an in-between guy, and because I'm an in-between guy, I kind of like it. Also, there's counterplay. Can't be battle shocked, for example. Keep them out of your deployment zone. Shoot them to death. Imagine winning 90 to 15 and then announce I'm going to do a gambit. Well, you can't do that. The max you could score at the end of battle round 3 would be 30 points in primary. So you'd be possibly forfeiting the other 20 points you would normally get. Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Also, here's that detachment rule I mentioned here, the Tyranids hyper adaptations. Targets enemy infantry or swarm, sustain hits, monster or vehicle, lethal hits, or precision ability. If a critical hit is scored. You know, adaptations. Draw your last pathetic card, Yugi boy. All right, let's see here. I gotta scroll up real quick. Commissar Canuck. So far, especially for Garb, Feels like there's a push to have a bigger units of infantry. A lot of the rules are seeming to reward large units rather than lots of small ones. Do you agree? I agree for one reason only, and that is character protection. I agree because of character protection. You want to protect your characters. I'm going to keep this open because this is quite a nice thing to keep open. It's because it's not always the case. Example, sisters. Small units of sisters are actually better because you can use more miracle dice via your cherubs, gain more miracle dice via your simulacrums, and it's just pretty good. Way better for small. But bigger units are more ablative wounds to keep your characters alive if they're leaders, like the Triumph. But Blast got buffed. Blast is better now. So for every 5 models, blast weapons get +1 shot. So there's also that. Yeah, and there's there's a lot of other things. Space Marine mechanics, Oaths of Moment, big squad, you die. Yeah, also the sister detachment rule. That's right. Each time a unit from your army is destroyed, get a miracle dice. You want smaller squads that way. But at the same time, big squads help your guys. But the detachment rule isn't great on MSU sisters. Also correct. Blood of the Martyrs is way better on big squads. If I might say that that's actually the best way to balance it. This is better on big squads. Characters are better on big squads. These rules are better on small squads. These rules are better than small squads. It's not about taking or pushing you to do something. It's about giving you options to do everything. And that's kind of the better option, right? Good balance lets you do both. Unless you're knights, then you take one thing and one thing only. Let's see here. Celestial. All right, sisters on the field. I was women in armor. Maris, for the gambit, the drifter. Marasov would be a sister's character. What characters do you think would be a faction specific in Destiny 2? Man, just give all the Ogren Cabal friends and have them be buddies. Big Ogren man is like, hello, other chunky Ogren man with turtle mask. And the new Gaunts, the Nero Tyrant as well. That whole thing. It's I don't know. There's a lot of options. Oh, grow later. Hey, Saint Bricky, Emperor blessing to you. I want to start a Death Watch army. Any tips for fluffy units and conversions? Honestly, I would just grab like some bits and stuff you could snag via like online retailer, like maybe eBay or 3D printed bits, and give it all fun kinds of variations. That's my personal best thing. Bricky, the sad thing is, the Ogren would be the leading Cabal. You know he would. The Ogren smack. What are things to note? This is the anatomy of the new data sheet. Yeah, the bolt pistol, close combat weapon. Right. Mm-hmm. What are things to note? I know the Terminators are one of the few things that I've actually seen that have a absolute statement. Fury of the First. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers that attacks ballistic skill and weapon skill. Also, if you are firing at the thing that is your Oaths of Moment character, add 1 to the hit roll. Which is pretty damn good. It's very good, actually. That's quite the Terminator ability. Teleport Homer is really handy to use the rapid ingress stratagem for 0 CP as well. And their guns are pretty all right. There's still plenty of good stuff here. Power Fist, power weapons, AP2. Like these Terminators are going to hit. These guys are going to slap, but they're supposed to be expensive. So I'm assuming they'll go up in points because right now Space Marines are way too cheap in current 9th edition. It'll give me quite a situation. Hey Slayer, no mention the server IA, no purple site either. This is odd. Yeah, well, I'm doing my own thing. I wanted to do a chat, a weekly roundup with the various Warhammer stuff at the moment. Yeah, I mean, Terminators are kind of supposed to be elite, you know? This is the anti-keyword. Yeah, here's the rapid ingress stratagem. Some of you may not understood the rapid ingress stratagem, and it's quite something. This is basically you deep striking in your opponent's movement phase. When end of your opponent's movement phase in reserves, arrive on the battlefield as if it were the reinforcement step of your movement phase. It is literally bring them deep strike in your opponent's phase. It's pretty nasty. Though I will say that the Space Marines can do it for 0 CP. At the start of the battle, you can set the teleport homer token anywhere, so you can fire at it within set within 3 inches horizontally and 9 inches from enemy models. So basically, the token is a free ingress in that area. They don't shoot you, you know, like they can't come in and then blast you and punch you and do all that kind of stuff because it's not your turn. But you know, it's still pretty spooky. All the data sheets are going to be available online for free in 10e, correct? Yep. I believe that every single data sheet and every single thing going on here is going to be added and online for free. Though the codexes, when they come out, will still cost you money. Mr. Idiot, how do you feel about every army being able to bring 3 of any unit regardless of type? Can't wait to bring full squads of HE broadsides and riptides. That's how it's always been. We call it the rule of 3. You could bring in 3 data sheets of whatever you want. 3 Terminators, 3 broadside squads, 3 riptides, the whole thing. Yeah, so it's actually always been like that. And I think it's fine. I am a little spooked on the flyer situation. A little spooked on that one. Because flyers are scary. Very scary. And they've been a notorious problem. So we'll see about that one. But yeah. Also, yeah, besides troops. Troops are battle line units. And then you can go up to 6. I meant without the only 3 to 6 heavy support rules. Oh, as in you can't take more than 6 heavy support things. I think heavy support and that stuff is gone. Like, look at Terminator squads. It doesn't say elite anywhere. They're just Terminators. Yeah, because here it is, right? Battle, like when you craft your army, it's 1 character, minimum 1 character, no more than 1 epic hero, 3 of the same data sheet, or 6 battle line or transport data sheets, and that's it. So it's just rule of 3, yeah. No other formations in that line. I'm so happy armigers are battle line. Yeah, armigers really should be battle line. They're kind of like the troops of knights. What is about flyers that are hard to balance? Because flyers ignore movement. You know, they move at 60-inch range, and then you can shoot whatever you want. It's basically like indirect fire without it being indirect fire. They can shoot whatever the hell they feel like because they move it at such astonishing speeds. Hey, it's 1 of each epic hero. Good point. Good point. My bad. So you get first turn. Doesn't matter how well you hide your units, flyers go, and they shoot you all to death. So they're very aggravating. But yeah, mustering your army seems easy. Pick the size, choose your army roster, choose a faction, choose a sub-faction, detachment, pick the units, get your warlord, and you're done. I don't understand one thing. CSM, if you target 2 units with 1 squad, do you have to roll for getting hurt twice? No. No, the way that works is it's once per guy. And it says here specifically, each time a unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a dark pact. Until the end of the phase, it gets these things. So you pick a unit, it activates it. Until the end of the phase, it gets all these things. And then once it's done with its attacks, you the units attacks, you then roll the leadership test. That's the main concept. Is that it's a pretty simple, like, all right, my possessed are going to split fire into these 2 units. I'm dark pacting them. Roll against this unit. Done. Now that unit. Done. All right, now leadership test. Free exploding 6s sounds pretty good. Free 6s auto wounds sounds really good. This is just really good in general, but it's the fact that you can do it every time. It's hilarious. It's a very fun rule. It's a very fun rule. All right, chat. It's been over a little bit 2 hours, and this was a lovely conversation with you all. I think I'm going to be doing this again come next week. I don't know if it'll be next Saturday or exactly what day it'll be, but I'd love to do it again. Do you have any final burning questions before we call it for now? I will have this VOD placed in the second channel as well. The little live VOD should be nice, and yeah. Should be all good. Everything else seems pretty solid. I'm actually quite pleased with where we're at right now. What do you think of the statement, we're going to decrease the number of auras, and then they give Ruststalkers and other units a data sheet specific aura? Because they have reduced the number of auras. It appears that with leaders, characters are now leaders. Leaders enter a squad. The buffs they give generally come just from the squad. It seems that if Call has an aura, it's Call. Abaddon has an aura, it's Abaddon. It's Gilliman. It's Swarm Lore. Like, those are going to be aura 1s. You know, it makes sense. They say that they've reduced auras and reduced rerolls, and I think they're right. I think they're both correct. The difference is the rerolls have now become specific. Where before, it was rerolls in an aura for everything. Now it's rerolls for this reason, or this for this reason. They're specific. They're not just widespread. Yeah, you want to trigger the hell out of me. You want to make me lose my goddamn mind. Whenever someone sees a reroll and be like, I thought they were reducing rerolls. Like, yeah, reduced. Yeah, they did. What? My guy. It's like CSM. Like the CSM guys. Yeah, they get rerolls, but they only get it in 1 melee. And the better version is only in melee on an objective. Like the Gene Stealers get. Plague Marine or Blight Lord Terminators get it only in shooting I believe, and only at the closest enemy targets. I don't know. I'm not seeing much. Did we even see any rerolls on like the Sisters or the Necrons one? I don't think we did. Did we get one of any? We got some on the Gene Stealers and Nids. I don't think Guard had any. I think it's absolutely fewer. Absolutely. People who don't think it's fewer have not seen the things you get in the main game. Bro, Word Bearers for CSM reroll all hits in melee. Are you kidding me? How many las cans in the average CSM list will take? Not sure. Don't know how much they cost. Do you think GW showed drones rather than a second unit character Tau to reduce the dislike towards them? No, I think it had the reverse effect. I think they should have shown off a Tau character, like a suit. They should have shown off like a Crisis suit. I think it would have been a smarter idea. Sisters Cavalry in 10th? I wish so. How does it feel to touch grass? A little bit itchy. How do you think that Sisters of Silence will deal with a no psyker affecting them? I think they'll either get a feel no pain against any kind of psychic abilities or be able to turn them off somehow. Or get bonuses to people who have the psychic keyword. Like, I'm pretty sure the Terminator Librarian has Psyker as a keyword for their stat line. They did not show me the stat line. God damn it. Is it the phase structure? Here we go. Yeah, Psyker. Reroll hit rolls against Psychers or something like that, you know? That's what Grey Knights have coming. An army of this stuff. An army of, like, smites and various shooting attacks and buffs. Things like that, yeah. I meant how many las cannons are needed because CSM is basically know their anti-tank options. They have missile launchers. Also, what about Forge Fiends? Forge Fiend, like plasma cannons. And also lots of their melee stuff too. Their anti-tank often comes with like punches, you know, sometimes as well. So there's also things like that, you know. So I don't know. Let's see here. We don't know if Forge Fiend strength went up. You're right, we don't. But that's often utilized as an anti-tank unit. Or at least an anti-elite infantry. So there's an assumption. Also, let's not forget that CSM can get 6s to hit auto wound army-wide with lethal hits. Why do you need anti-tank when some fucking bolt guns might be enough? Also, don't forget, there's also the obliterator with the strength 12 melta gun thing right here. You know? What feels the most lackluster faction focus so far? Death Guard. Death Guard. Death Guard. Death Guard. Death Guard. Not even a question, I say. Oh, here's the roadmap. Oh, wow. This is a great page. I'm glad I have this bookmarked. Death Guard, definitely. How even about the Archon of Flesh? Is that a Drukhari? I don't know. Like, are Drukhari Archons? I'm assuming. Fleshy sounds like a coven, though, so I don't know what that means. What factions do you want to see next week? Well, we don't have that many left. I mean, CSM is on Monday, of course. But we've also got... What are we missing, right? We're missing Custodies. I don't think we'll have Agents of the Imperium. Maybe, like, Assassins or something. We're missing Grey Knights. And we're not going to have Titans. I just don't believe we will. We're missing K-Suns as well. And then we are missing Drukhari, Orcs, and Gene Stealer Cults. And then I guess Chaos Knights. So we've got about 7 left. So we will see 7. 7 it is. We'll see how it turns out. How worried are you for SOB anti-tank capabilities with the multi-mount profile being what it is? Not worried at all. I can make miracles happen. Why would I ever give a shit about my stuff wounding on 5s when I can just place a 5 myself? Oh, and Harlequins. Well, maybe Harlequins. That's a weird one. And maybe Inari, also a weird one. And maybe the independent Space Marine chapters, like Dark Angels. So, there might be a couple. It depends. Let's see here. I'll do 3 more. I wonder if an attachment will have restrictions like the Vashtor one from Arcs of Omen. I'd hope not. I'd hope the sub-factions are relatively well to be handled. I'm getting into Warhammer for the first time. I'm going to collect Night Lords, so I've been collecting news, but I'm kind of confused. Will they have their own spotlight, or did CSM cover it? They will not have their own spotlight. CSM covers it. Basically, what's going to happen is when CSM come out in spring 2024, there will most likely be a sub-faction attachment rule that's very Night Lords-y, so to speak. And then that'll be the way to do it. But for now, you'll just play all CSM like its own homogenous group, just for now. Why suggest a crisis suit, not an ethereal? Because crisis suits and battle suits are more of a Tau thing than ethereals are. What do you think was the worst thing about 9th? The killy. The lethality of the game. I played a game of Word Bearers against Iron Hands, and I played like Eldar. I had to jump, shoot, jump, and jump, stab, jump. Because if I didn't, I got shot to death. It wasn't just AP, it was also volume of fire. It was the number of shots, the number of rerolls, and the AP that it had. The fact that everything that's twin-linked has become minus or like lower shots is so nice. Because right now, you'd have a twin heavy bolter, which was 6 shots. Now it's 3 shots, but it has full rerolls to wound. Way better. Way better. Because often, you could get your rerolls to wound, or even rerolls to hit via auras, or other abilities. So now that rerolls are lower, which makes it better, and the number of shots is lower, which is very good. Very, very good. So I just like that. I think it's a lot nicer to handle. And you know, I think for the most part, the lethality does look like it's going down. I'm a little worried about some things, but with the lower amount of AP, like armor saves will be better overall. My biggest fear is just the volume of lethal hits we've been seeing. There's a lot of lethal hits. Death Guard have a lot, and Crons have a lot. I'm pretty sure it's like, yeah, they're Gauss weapons. Gauss weapons all have lethal hits. So a little bit of fear with the lethal hits amounts. Tyranids can adapt to it. CSM can Dark Pact it. Oh god, I hit my camera. Holy shit, I kicked it with my foot. My apologies. But yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. Anyway, that's about it for me, everybody. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for all of your time and stopping by and watching this stream. I would like to do another one of these maybe sometime next week. Could be kind of fun. Have like a little bit of a round table about the things we saw and discuss it more. So thank you so much for your support and all of your very generous super chats. That was quite surprising and was way more than I expected would happen. So thank you. And yeah, you all have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. Have fun, paint some minis, and you know, eat ass.